facing the flag with the right hand over your heart to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. That I am up first with the president's report. I might kick it to you to do the superintendent's report first. Is that okay? And then I'll jump in.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I'm so excited to go over where we are as the machine is up and running. It seems like a distant memory, but we had the Lake Forest Day at the beginning of the month, and it does seem like an eternity ago. But I just wanted to highlight this to say how proud I was. This is one of the first years that some staff and students participated in the parade. We had the banners, we announced our new theme, and I'm confident that next year it'll be even bigger, but the reception we got from us participating was exceptionally favorable, and I was excited to be there and a part of the day. In addition to marching the parade, I just want to do a shout out to Dr. Georgia and everything that he did with the job fair that he ran during Lake Forest Days. Us being present and interacting with parents and community members is always a good thing, and this is the second year that he helped support in that leadership, and I want to thank him publicly for his efforts. So without any further ado, we're back, and it seems like last week was a long week, but it was a very happy week. And as I was walking around with Dr. McHugh, I said often that if we could bottle up the joy from day one and just open it up in February, it would be a magical experience, because you forget the excitement and the enthusiasm of everybody coming back and being together. The weather was perfect, albeit hot, and the energy was just amazing, no matter which building. This is the first year that people can remember that both districts opened the same day, so it was an interesting kind of situation where we were hitting all the buildings, and no matter where we went, we felt that palpable kind of energy radiating from everybody. And I want to thank everybody who came together to get these organizations up and running. So I'm going to hit tonight on summer projects, summer learning, the all-admin retreat, new team members, Institute Days, and Lake Forest Days, which I hit on already. So I will zip through those now. For the public, and we talked a little bit about this in workshop, there was a great deal of summer work that occurred across both districts. In fact, $12.5 million worth of construction happened between 67 and 115. And for those in the audience that are watching, that are wondering, that money was not referendum money. So between both districts, in 67, you will see a flurry of activity in Cherokee right now as we are building the new ADA ramp as well as the 2 new classroom spaces. Thankfully, the bulk of the groundwork is done, and we are on target right now for winter completion, and I'm excited about what is going on in the building. There are some classrooms that look right out into see the construction in real time. I walked in the classroom and was just like mesmerized, so I asked the teacher, how are the students doing with watching that? They said they've been wonderful, and actually not that distracted by it, but I could have stayed there all day and watched what was going on. In DPM, right now, the board also heard about this in workshop. We're very fortunate to have a Spirit of 67 who supports above and beyond what we are doing within the general budget. We applied for a grant to get new flexible furniture for the DPM cafeteria. If any of you have been in the cafeteria, it is time for a refresh. If the Spirit approves this would expedite and move forward by about 2 years of when the district could touch that space. And I am presenting with Dr. Hermes on September 6th to the full spirit, and then voting will commence on whether or not they approve the grant or not immediately following that meeting. Lastly, we will talk quickly about the Sheridan Playground, and there is a actual ceremony, a ribbon cutting tomorrow on August 30th at 1:45 p.m. And we are excited to formally christen that space because it is a wonderful place, particularly for our preschool and youngest students that are in the Sheridan learning environment. So a lot is happening. During summer, there's conferences that I'm able to go to. There's learning through all admin and through incident days or institute days. So this is really just a quick section and highlight. I know that some of you have been tortured by me going into professor mode. I'm not doing that tonight, I promise. This is just a highlight reel of one of the things that I thought was the most interesting thing I learned over the summer at a conference. It has been 40 years since the legislation titled A Nation at Risk, and that was really post-Sputnik, where we went into this world of testing and accountability and measuring, claiming that schools were failing across the country. So that's what started that report 40 years ago. And this was the anniversary, and I was actually had the fortunate, one of my mentors actually was one of the authors of it. He's a gentleman that I know well, and he was presenting on what they learned. And then there was other speakers that also came in. This one was from ASU. Here's what resonated with me. And you could have, I think I'm going to be talking about a lot. It says roughly 86 to 99% of the variation in test scores is due to outside of school factors. So what that means is, inversely, about 1 to 14% of the variation of test scores is attributable to school-level factors, including but not limited to teachers. I always knew that number was small, but to see that in my face of one of the key learnings, as we just spent 40 years chasing test scores, and a lot of societal problems being dropped at the doorstep of the schoolhouse, it made me think about what we need to do within the educational system and the importance of partnering with our community and parents. So my takeaway was that it is even more glaring to me about how we are a three-legged stool with the community, the families, and the schools as we come together to wrap around our heads and our hearts for our kids in the future, acknowledging that we cannot do it alone. And research is saying that the bulk of the work has to come outside of school, and we want to partner with parents to support them as best as possible, as well as the community. So think of things that we're so lucky to have, such as Croya, the work that Andy Duran does. It is a pretty special place to live and to work, and I'm grateful that there's core foundations in all these, and we're going to continue to partner moving forward because it takes all of us together to make a difference. When I move into key learnings with the district staff, one of the major initiatives that you know about, but it's happening real time, is that for the last better part of 2 years, we have been looking at a new ELA curriculum. This fall, we have kicked off Amplify, which is our K-8 ELA programming, and I couldn't be more excited. The amount of work that it took for Jeff and his team to get the research done, to get collaboration with the teachers, the staff, the administrators, the board, the community to arrive at which curriculum we were going to pick, took that long. But I will tell you that we were ready, and while we're still learning real time, this curriculum will be transformative to our ELA classrooms K-8. And you will get regular updates on how we're doing and the impact of that, but we're in a very good place in terms of that transition. And I want to do a huge shout out to Jeff, and then a huge shout out to Vail, because she has taken, when Jeff transitioned from Director of Teaching and Learning to the deputy role, Vail jumped in at a pivotal moment in time to get us to the finish line, and I'm excited about that. Moving on. The all admin retreat happened shortly after Lake Forest Days. This is where we were learning together between the administrative staff across both districts. We come together for a 2-day experience. The first day we're together between 67 and 115, really looking at common themes between, remember, we have the same portrait of a learner for both districts. And then the second day is separated to solely 67 and 115 work. It is a great time for us to be together as a team. Moving on to new district administrators, 2 people that I would highlight are Chuck Walsh and Molly Escobar. Molly is serving as our student service coordinator, and Chuck Walsh is serving as our director of safety and security. I am really proud of this slide for a whole bunch of reasons. One, these 2 people are amazing and we're lucky to have them. Secondary, this is the only change that the administrative team has seen. And I don't know how long it's been since we've had that level of consistency in this district. And I will champion Jeff and his leadership as he's building the teams at the building level and as cabinet is working together to make sure, and I said this in workshop, not only the right people are on the bus, but they're in the right seats. So we're fortunate enough to have 3 elementary principals that served at central office and have that district level experience. I've never experienced that in my life. And then you look at the changes we made at DPM recently, and now the addition of Chuck for safety and security. Good things continue to be happening in terms of leadership. Here, we had a huge incoming class of new staff. These are all of the new staff members for 67. I think Amy and Vale are in there. I don't know if Jeff's hiding there somewhere too. So absent those 2 individuals, these are our new staff members. It's always exciting to welcome them, and we had the pleasure of doing that 2 Fridays ago, I think. And they are hitting the ground running. Institute Day, Annie joined me as we presented to the staff last Monday to kick off the new school year as all the staff came back, knowing that administrators have been here all summer, but this is where we welcome the faculty and the staff. And it was, the energy was also wonderful in that room, and I was so grateful, Annie, that you were with me, and she did a wonderful job representing the board. And I talked about it, Annie talked about it, but the faculty and staff knowing that the board is supporting them and in line with where we are with the portrait of a learner and the strategic plan and the action plans and metrics. And just a side note for the community that may be watching, next board meeting in September, as promised, we will be presenting the measurable outcomes that we plan to attain for the first year of the strategic plan. The board will receive those in workshop, and then I will present in the September board meeting, and then the board will have a month to process what measurable outcomes are presented and see if we hit the mark or not, and I will ask the board I'll recommend those as a final draft in the October meeting to ensure that all of us are on the same page, the 8 of us at the table right now, about what we're looking for to accomplish and how we're prioritizing that 5-year strategic plan in the first year of its inception. That concludes my superintendent's report for tonight. Thank you for your kind attention.
And thank you for going a little bit out of order here. I will go back in time and give the president's report. And we did not coordinate comments, but a lot of my comments are going to echo some of the things that you said. So I'm glad to know that we're in alignment. I was going to start by saying welcome back to everyone to the start of a new school year. I hope that all of your families have successfully made the transition back to school. I know it's been exciting and a little exhausting in my house, but we're all happy to be back. Last Monday, as Matt said, I had the privilege of addressing the 67 faculty at the start of their Institute Day. And the energy and excitement in that room, just as Matt said, was palpable. People were really very enthusiastic. There was a lot of clapping and cheering, and it was great to be a part of it. I did share at that meeting with our faculty a message of support and gratitude from the 67 board and offered them some updates that I will also share with you this evening regarding the work that we've done over the summer to make sure that this year is successful for all of our students. I shared with them first that in May we welcomed 3 terrific new school board members, Monica, Megan, and Mark, and told them that all 3 have brought fresh energy and perspective to the board and how excited I was to be working with all of them. I also shared that we, as a board, took on a summer reading assignment. We read a book called Great on Their Behalf: Why School Boards Fail and How Yours Can Be Effective. This is one of those books where the singular message of the book really comes through in the first few pages. And the message is this: school boards exist to improve student outcomes. If we're not doing that, then we're not doing our jobs. The book has helped us rethink and refocus, and hopefully will move us to be more focused on that important task. I shared with them how excited we are as a board about the implementation of the new reading curriculum and the continued implementation of the math curriculum. I know that Monica in particular has done a terrific job of thinking through plans for our education committee as those two curriculums are rolled out. And one of the things that committee will be very focused on this year, along with the rest of the board, is how to look at student progress and make sure that we are holding ourselves accountable and moving in the right direction with both of those new resources. Likewise, Carl has refined the work of our finance committee, which will be meeting more frequently in the coming year to help us all carry out the very important role of providing financial oversight to our district. Finally, I shared that as a board, we are looking for better ways to connect to the community, which includes anybody who's watching, so that instead of hearing feedback from maybe a handful of people who choose to reach out to us proactively, we're looking for ways to be more present and open to hearing from people who might not reach out. So we're giving that some active thought, and we welcome feedback from the community about how we can best do that. There is a lot more, but we have a lot on our agenda, so I will stop there and turn it to business. I think at this point we will now hear public comment subject to Board Policy 2230. The Lake Forest Boards of Education will welcome public attendance and participation at all meetings. It's hoped that by utilizing these guidelines, participation will be maximized both in terms of fairness and organization. At this point, the opportunity for public comment will be limited to comments about this meeting's agenda items only. Please hold all other comments until the following opportunity for public comment later during tonight's meeting. Are there any members of the public who would like to address the board? Seeing none, we will move on to reports. I believe the Finance and Operations Committee has a report, so I'll turn it over to Carl.
Thank you. I'll make this short and sweet. Finance and Operations Committee met on Thursday morning, August 10th. Besides welcoming the new community members, we discussed how the committee was going to run for the next school year, or for this school year. And we went over two of the items that's on the board action items list tonight, which is the accounting service and a charter for the committee. After that, the staff provided a detailed presentation of the tentative budget, which we'll be discussing in greater detail next month and approving, and then some of the ongoing construction projects. So I encourage all of you, especially the public, to go on and click on that full committee report to see the details of both the budget and the projects. It's a lot of great information in there, and it's too much to distill down for this meeting. And our next meeting is scheduled for Thursday morning, September 14th at 7:30 here in the board meeting room. And that's the extent of my report today.
Any questions or comments for Carl? Okay, with that, we will turn it over to Megan for a report on the Spirit of 67 Foundation.
Thank you. So the Spirit of 67 is gearing up for a great 23-24 school year. They are going to be having their home and garden tour, and the committee has been really busy planning for another amazing event. The event will be held on September 28th, 2023 from 10 to 2 p.m. So please mark your calendars and join them. They are also going to be kicking off their school year with their first meeting, which is going to be on September 14th. It is going to be a joint meeting with the APT. It will be held at the Gorton Center. They hope to work together to provide continuity within the district and our community members to both support and to grow their organizations. We hope to focus on ways to get more attendance and participation within our community, and for them to have a better understanding of what it is, of what we do, and how we enhance the education of the District 67 students. Thank you.
Any questions about that report? Okay, Monica, I will turn it to you for a report on the APT Executive Board.
Yes. As a former APT president, I want to acknowledge, first of all, how much work I know the APTs have been doing for us. We're kind of just starting the school year. For a lot of them, they've been working all summer. So I just wanted to thank Kimberly Karras and Elizabeth Martin, Elise Butler, Mary Donna Maggiolino, and Jillian Goodfriend for everything they've done. So the APTs have been working diligently over the summer to get ready for a great school year. These past weeks, each of the 67 schools have hosted kindergarten playdates, new family gatherings, put up yard signs, helped with school supplies, provided staff lunches, and also started planning fall events. Megan already mentioned the joint meeting with the Spirit on September 14th with speaker Matt Dewar, a Lake Forest High School teacher, who will be speaking about mindfulness, self-regulation, and emotional resilience. Everyone in the district is welcome. And finally, just a reminder that all of the schools' APT, including the Exec APT, are on social media, on Facebook and Instagram, so follow them to find out what's coming up.
Any questions about that? Okay. With that, I'm going to make a motion to approve the renewal of the Miller Cooper contract for accounting services, and then I'm going to turn it over to Carl to say a few words about it. But before we get there, may I please have a motion to approve that contract?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Carl?
Yes, so this is a renewal of the Miller Cooper contract, and this item was discussed in committee. And Jen provided a quick overview of what the auditors do and described the increased cost to this one-year contract due to the labor market fluctuations and increases and the Government Accounting Standards Board, GASB, requirements that go along with this. So it's a little bit more expensive because of the labor market and the additional requirements for accounting.
Any questions about that for Carl or anyone?
One question, either for Carl or Dr. Hermes. Is this a contract that we've competitively bid either this year or in past years?
We have not done it every single year, but we have done it several times since I've been here. So typically you'd want to have multiple years with the same auditors, so you're not kind of paying for that first year service every time. It is likely that this will be bid this year. It's actually a request for proposal. It's not a formal bid. We're not required to take the lowest bidder because we do measure against other things.
How long have we been using Miller Cooper?
We have been using them since 2007, but the partners themselves and the principals have been rotated out.
Thank you.
I can also maybe address that. I've been on the Finance and Operations Committee for several years, and we did go out to bid. And actually, at that time, I think the administration was looking to switch to another firm, but after careful review of the three responses, we chose to stay with Miller Cooper because they were the best value for the money. Just that's the past, and it's probably time to do it again, but we did do that.
Any other questions? Okay, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Ms. Engelberg? Aye. Ms. Bernal?
Aye.
Mr. Remus?
Yes.
Ms. Levert?
Aye.
Mr. Carrar?
Aye.
Ms. Yan?
Yes.
Ms. Helms?
Aye and yes.
Motion carries.
Sorry, I'm getting loopy. At this point, may I have a motion to approve the 2023-2024 Solient contract for a long-term substitute and teaching assistants?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Are there comments or questions about this contract?
Maybe Jeff could just give a brief explanation. I know he shared with us the logic behind it, but maybe for the public who might not have read the details before the meeting, if you would just recap.
Sure. So we are at the point where we're almost fully staffed, but we still have a few teaching assistant openings. So we're going through a contract agency, which is a lot more expensive than had we hired our teaching assistants ourselves. Dr. Georgia would probably join me in saying we would absolutely prefer to hire our own teaching assistants. We have wonderful people in district. We provide them with professional learning. However, we're at the point where we're short by approximately 5. Does that sound right, Dr. Georgia? It's better than last year. We had more, and we did increase the pay, the base pay, about 25% from last year. We want to remain competitive, but hiring teaching assistants right now, it's a tough job market out there. We're going to continue from an HR standpoint to recruit, to look at our pay structure and our competitiveness, but for right now, in order to shore up those last 5 positions, we'd like approval to go through the contract agency.
And would you also share what you shared with us, that there was a clause about if suddenly you find competent teaching assistants, that this could be voided?
Right. So it's we're choosing to go with a contract agency that makes it easier to void the contract and terminate it, because we're still looking for teaching assistants. While we have people out there, again, our goal is to hire our own, keep them, train them.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this? May I have a roll call vote, please?
Ms. Yan? Mr.
Yes.
Remus? Mr. Remus?
Yes.
Ms. LeVert?
Aye.
Ms. Bernal?
Aye.
Ms. Helms?
Aye.
Ms. Engelberg?
Aye.
Mr. Farrar?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next, we have approval of the Maryland Coalition of Inclusive Education Consultation Contract. May I have a motion to approve that contract, please?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Do you all have questions about this one?
The questions I had about, not this year, but continuing years. How long do we expect this to continue in the future, and what will determine whether or not it continues in the future?
That's a great question. We have worked with them since 2020-21, and they've been providing a significant amount of support. However, we're thinking that this is the last year we'll need this level of support from them. Our staff has come a long way. We built capacity, both with our internal staff. True North supports us with coaches. We were looking to shift a model. That takes years, and we're getting to the point now where we're feeling like the model has shifted. So I don't expect us to be back here at this time next year needing this level of support. We'll still need some support, but from an MCIE standpoint, I feel like this year will really get us where we need to go, and then we'll be looking at maintaining.
Can you just comment, I think I understand it, but the difference between what True North does and what's covered under this contract?
MCIE is more the big picture. True North is more the individual. So MCIE has helped us shift our systems and our processes. True North helps us more with individual students and groups. They do more coaching. They're working hands-on with teachers. MCIE is supporting more our leadership structures in order to get our processes in place.
I think more of like the inclusion model and the transition of how we're servicing students in an inclusive setting. That's the MCIE, and then the direct supports is really True North.
And I wanted to just take this opportunity to give a shout out. So MCIE actually had Dr. Kate Kavanaugh, Cherokee principal, come out and present at a national conference on the work that she led when she was here in district office. But we have a lot of great work that has gone on in the years to support each and every student. MCIE recognizes how far we've come, and I think Kate and so many of our people are a shining example of we're really doing right by kids here.
Any other questions? Okay, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Ms. Bernal?
Aye.
Mr. Farrar?
Aye.
Ms. Engelberg?
Aye.
Ms. LeVert?
Aye.
Mr. Remus?
Yes.
Ms. Helms?
Aye.
Ms. Yan?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items, including approval of disbursements, payrolls, and financial statements for April and May 2023, approval of the Human Resources Report, which includes hires, changes of assignments, resignations, retirement, stipends, activities, athletics, and test prep, summer school, extended year school hires, approval of the Finance and Operations Committee Charter, approval of the Education Committee Charter, minutes of an executive session June 20th, 2023, and minutes of a regular meeting and workshop June 20th, 2023.
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or concerns? Tian, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Farrar?
Aye.
Mr. Remus?
Yes.
Ms. Levert,
Aye.
Ms. Yan,
Yes.
Ms. Engelberg,
Aye.
Ms. Bernal,
Aye.
Ms. Helms,
Aye.
motion carries.
There's high-fiving over the approval of the charter, which I have to say that Carl and Monica both worked very hard on revising theirs, so congratulations. With that, we will move on to FOIA requests. We received several FOIA requests in the last, since our last meeting. 2 from Vince Espy, 2 from Catherine Meiser, and excuse me if I'm mispronouncing her name, and 1 from Josiah Chatterton. At this point, the board will now offer a second opportunity for public comment subject to board policy. Are there any members of the public at this point who would like to address the board? Hearing none, we will wrap up with a few announcements. Monday is Labor Day. We will not be having school. On Thursday, September 7th, we will have a joint policy committee meeting at 5 p.m. here at the West Campus. We are getting printed copies of the policy manual, and those of us on that committee are pretty excited about it. Thursday, September 14th, will be a Finance and Operations Committee meeting at 7:30 a.m., also here. Friday, September 15th, is the new parent coffee at 9:30 a.m. at West Park Pavilion for new parents. Friday, September 15th, will be an Education Committee meeting at 1:30 p.m., also here at West Campus. And then Tuesday, September 26th, there will be our next Board of Education meeting at 7 p.m., also here at West Campus. And with that, may I have a motion to adjourn the City of Lake Forest School District 67 Board meeting for August 29th, 2023?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have a voice vote, please? All in favor say aye.
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 Meeting adjourned.